What is going on, YouTube and Spotify? This is the Just BSN podcast, and today we have episode 124. And man, you know what? I didn't even make any notes about March Madness, but March Madness is going on right now. We obviously still got the Cavs. We got a little bit of Browns news. We got some baseball that's starting up here next week. I think we're literally getting to like one of the better times of the year besides like October, November time when everything's going on. This is some pretty good times right now. I can't lie. So, Andrew, how are we feeling today after everything? Obviously, we saw Ohio State go down. They were the first team to go down, so they are out of the NCAA tournament. Had a decent showing. They fought until the very, very end. But ultimately, this team's whole story this year has been exactly what they showed today. And that's just coming up short every single time it mattered.
Yeah, first and foremost, I'm doing pretty well. Obviously, a little upset about the Ohio State loss, but it's your typical 8-9 matchup. So it's going to be a good, hard-fought game from both teams. It's going to be super close. It's going to be decided by like 5 or less. That's just what an 8-9 matchup it does. It's just a good, even, balanced game. As for Ohio State, they were down by like 15, 16 at halftime, and they had to claw their way back in the second half. So for them, sometimes it's like what we're going to talk about the Cavs tonight. Sometimes just a shot wasn't falling, and they had good looks, and they just couldn't get anything to go down. And that just happens. That happens in a basketball game, especially in a tournament like this. So when one team is making everything and the other team is not, obviously that's a recipe for disaster. Because TCU, they started off the game like 7 of 10 or something, and Ohio State's like 2 of like 11. So when it's something like that happens, it's going to be a disaster. But they fought back in the second half. They did very well, but it just was not enough. A last second bucket layup from TCU sealed the deal with 4 seconds left and didn't leave Ohio State much time to get down the floor and get a good shot up. But it happens. But other than that, it's the story, like you said, story of Ohio State lately over the last couple of years where they just can't seem to get past that first round. They seem to kind of just lose their mojo a little bit.
Yeah. And there were some upsets today, too. Like, Wisconsin went down. Duke was on the ropes for basically the entire game against Seattle Falls today. Barely squeaked one out by like 5 or 6 points, which was very, very, surprising to me. So there were some good games today, and that's what March Madness is all about. I know we don't really talk really at all about college hoops because I've always been turned off on it ever since Ohio State has not been great, which has been for the last few years. It's incredible the fallout between the football team and the basketball team. Like, it is so far apart, it's not even funny because OSU has a good baseball team. Women's basketball is very good all of the time. Hockey is really good. Wrestling, like, they have other good sports teams. Soccer's been good lately too. Like, they have good sports teams all around. It's not just football. And yet for some reason, this basketball squad can't get good recruits, and they just play very average, mediocre ball. And they got hot towards the end to really even get them into the tournament, and it was a little bit of a surprise that they got in it, and they just fall short as always. But obviously we're going to get into some more things, but before we do, we want to go ahead and give a quick shout out to the sponsor, as well as another cool and I don't really know the term that I want to use here, but we're going to start implementing bets of the week from Greg, and we might even have him on again eventually. We'll see when everything can align. But Andrew, without further ado, go ahead and shout out the boys.
Yeah, guys, check out our sponsor, Effortless Wins, for sports betting advice and plays to boost your wins. Talk to Tony or Greg. The links to their the Discord are in the description on Spotify or in the comments on YouTube. And Greg has been so awesome that he's going to be giving out a free play during the MLB season. So he'll be jumping on with us when he can and giving us some free plays. Even if he can't jump on, he might just send us a free play to give out to you guys. So he was gracious enough to give us this right here. So this is the first effortless free play of the MLB season. Now, this is for the first game of the season. There's only one game starting Wednesday. That is the Yankees and San Francisco Giants. This will be Wednesday night at 8:05. The game is on Netflix. And he is graciously giving us Aaron Judge over half a walk. He said it should be plus money when it does drop, because obviously spring training still going on, and we probably won't get rosters until Monday night, maybe Tuesday morning for all the teams. So once those rosters are released, then the sports books will drop all the plays and whatnot. So once that happens, don't forget about this one. Aaron Judge over half a walk. She said should be around plus money, around maybe plus 120 or something like that. Obviously, first game of the season, so people are going to be swinging the bat, but everyone's going to be a little scared of Aaron Judge, especially to start the year, especially how good he was in the World Baseball Classic and how he's been hot all spring training. So you might be able to squeak out a walk out of him. So here is our first effortless free play for you guys. So make sure you keep this in the back of your brains, or come back to this, rewatch the episode and come back to this. It'd be 6 minutes into the podcast.
Yes.
Aaron Judge over half a walk.
Yes. And as Drew said, make sure to wait to put this in. You are not going to be able to put this bet in until everything is finalized, which will probably be on Tuesday, possibly Monday. We'll see how it does. Yeah. But generally, obviously you can't bet during spring training. It's just you can't bet during preseason in football. It's same as that concept. So be sure to write that down or go back to it and take that bet, because it should be free money. He should at some point get an intentional walk if he's swinging the bat really, really good. And then you can use that as just one play. You can use that in a little bit of a parlay. Just be smart with the way that you parlay it. But hey, it is a free bet. It is free game. And I'm telling you, Greg knows what he is talking about. He's usually really, really good at this. It's not like he's 100%, but he's really, really good at what he does. He knows what he is talking about. Yep. So listen to the man. It's a free play. Go do it. I promise you, you won't regret it. So yeah, guys, obviously last week we had a little bit of a discussion towards the end of the podcast about the Browns and sort of the way that we want to have them go, the sort of direction that we want them to go in the draft. And we also talked a little bit about Watson, and we were able to put some clips on TikTok, and it actually had some pretty good conversation. And I was really pleased with the way that everybody sort of wanted to converse about that, because it literally got exactly what I was trying to do, which was, and again, I'm going to preface this by saying this. I do not believe that Deshaun Watson will actually have a good season. I want to make that very clear. I don't expect anything out of this guy. But the hypothetical questioning, just bringing out more ideas and more opinions, that's what makes everybody conversate and be able to make more interesting takes. That's what sports takes are all about. It's about making conversation. So there were a few key, a few people obviously on TikTok that made some really hilarious jokes, and I think it was actually super funny. But I promise you, this was not a super serious take from me. But I thought, you know what, this is a thought that I have had, and it would be pretty sick. But that's the very optimistic side of me, and that's not one that I'm very confident in with the Browns. I've been a lot more optimistic about this team in the past. Not so much, over the last few seasons. It's gotten worse and worse. But it's still nice to have some conversation, because if Watson really does do well, that changes the entire dynamic of the season entirely. Because you don't really know what they're going to do in the draft. We can sit here and predict, and we'll talk here in a minute about what they should do versus what we think they will do, because it is the Browns. It's Barry. We know how he usually likes to draft. But they are completely unpredictable at times. Nobody was talking a month before the draft last season about Mason Graham being the guy. they said, oh, it would be cool if they got him, but not at 2 or not at 3. You know, it wouldn't make sense. And then they traded back and they did what they needed to do, and they got another first for this year, which was still the steal of the entire draft from last season. Especially with how many holes we still have to fill on this team. We needed everything that we could get, but still, they're so unpredictable. So take everything that anybody says, whether it's somebody on the Fan, whether it's somebody at ESPN Cleveland, even just ESPN in general, or whatever sort of podcast that you guys like to watch. Take everything with a grain of salt, because not everything is true. Not everybody knows what they're talking about. Yeah. And nobody, and I mean nobody, not even the Browns right now, know exactly what they're going to do with that 6th pick. So take it with a grain of salt and just enjoy the conversation and enjoy stirring the pot a little bit. Honestly, it's so much fun.
Yeah, it's really fun. And like you said, people shouldn't really take what like us or anyone else has to say, because it's like, you know, me and you can sit here and be like, oh, they're guaranteed going to take Cardinals, say, with that 6th overall pick. We don't know that.
Right.
I don't know that. You don't know that. The Fan doesn't know that. ESPN Cleveland doesn't know that. Even the people who work super closely with the team don't know that.
Yeah.
Like you said, the team themselves don't know that. So nobody really knows what they're doing until draft day, essentially.
Even then, some of these teams don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
We've seen plenty of horrible picks, not even just by the Browns, but by the Giants, by the Jets. I mean,
everyone.
gosh, the Vikings taking JJ McCarthy in the 1st round a few years ago, and now they want to ship him off.
Yeah.
Like, it's endless.
It's endless. So, guys, no one knows what they're going to do in a draft. So, when it comes to draft talk, take everything with a grain of salt, because nobody knows what the hell is going to happen. But with the Deshaun Watson stuff, yeah, it's fun to talk about, because, you know, it draws, like you said, it draws a conversation. It draws talking points. It draws just like, it draws a necessary conversation, because the thing is like, he's still here. And he's still going to get an opportunity while he's still here. And you can't, and no one else can deny that. Is because guess what? If he balls out during the spring and the summer, he's probably going to start over Shedeur Sanders. And I know people are not going to like that, but they're going to put who's been performing the best in the offseason as the QB1. They're not just going to be like, well, it's going to be Shedeur. Like, if they see something in Deshaun that they like, they're going to go for it.
Yeah.
So we can't sit here and be like, well, we know for sure the starter is going to be Shedeur Sanders. We don't know that at this point right now. And that's why we still talk about Deshaun Watson, because there's a good chance he could be QB1 coming to the start of the season. And, you know, we have to have this conversation. It's not like we could just brush it off to the side and ignore it. We have to have the conversation, because it's going to be from now until the last day of, you know, fall camp, the last day of preseason, where we're going to sit here and be like, hey, look, it came down to the last day. We're going to roll with Shedeur. We thought Shedeur outperformed Deshaun, and we think we're going to rock with Shedeur, the younger guy. Or they could be like, listen, they're neck and neck. We might roll with Deshaun just because of the experience, and because, you know, there might be something left in the tank a little bit.
Yeah.
But after 2 games, if he's not cutting it, he plays poorly 2 games, this isn't the Stefanski era no more. Todd Monk is probably not going to give Watson that much time if he does.
No.
Like, it's like he's not going to give him half the season to figure it out. Monkey might just give him 2 games and be like, listen, you can't figure it out. We're going with the young kid. Like, we have to. Like, we're not going to waste a season trying to figure this thing out, like we did with Stefanski multiple times, where we wasted half or a quarter of a season trying to figure something out that should have never been thought of that hard. So this isn't that regime anymore. This is the regime of, you know, we got guys who came from a winning football team. Half our coaching staff now is from the Ravens. So these are guys who know how to win football games. And these are guys who know how to work with quarterbacks like Deshaun Watson and Shedeur Sanders. So we are blessed to be an actual guys who actually know what they're doing, and don't call themselves QB whisperers, or like the last two head coaches we've had.
Yeah, I was gonna say the last two.
So we're not gonna go down that route again. But
No.
I would say Tom Monken he knows what he's doing. At first, I guess we all thought the hire was kind of but the more I keep hearing him talk, the more I'm kind of like, okay, this isn't that bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have to have the Deshaun Watson talk. We just have to. While he's still here and while he's in the race to be QB1, we still have to have the talk.
And I mean, I would even go as far to say there's an argument made for the fact that he has a lot of pressure on him to come back and to start, because as long as he's here, he is going to presumably be the starter. Now, he's obviously not going to be guaranteed, it, but the pressure is there. He's the one that has the big contract. He is the veteran. He's been on this team for several years, hasn't done anything. He's had a lot of injuries, and that could be his excuses as to why he has not played. But you don't know how he's going to move around, and you also don't know what his shoulder is going to be like. When he came back from that shoulder injury, it was fried. His shoulder was fried. He could not throw the ball downfield at all. He wasn't accurate at all. You don't know if that is also going to be a thing he still struggles with. So again, there's a lot of pressure, and you can make the argument that if he ends up losing out the battle still, if it's Shadur, if it's Dylan, which I don't know how the heck you can name Dylan Gabriel.
I don't even know if he's going to last much on the roster soon.
I don't think so either, to be honest. I'm going to bet he's either going to be traded or he will be released before the preseason ends.
Yeah.
That's my take. Or if they decide to bring in a veteran,
he could get dumped to the practice squad.
Right. Whatever the case is, like, again, I think at this moment, Deshaun has a lot more overall pressure on him than even Shadur does. Shadur doesn't have any actual pressure on him. Like he's in year 2. He's got a new coach, again, a coach that seemingly likes him a little bit more than Stefanski did. And overall, just sort of a clean slate. Deshaun technically has a clean slate, but he's still with this team. And who knows how guys are going to feel about him. It's going to be interesting. Like it really is going to be a unique thing to watch unfold over the course of the preseason, the camps, and all that stuff. Like there's going to be a lot of different takes. And listen, when people say, "Hey, Deshaun looks bad," believe them, because the last time they said that, he was. So take everything with a grain of salt there too. And again, pay attention. But he absolutely has immense pressure on him. And again, if you lose out this battle, you have to contemplate retirement, because you've been injured so many times. You've been in and out of the league over the last 6 years, if not more. You really only had 1 or 2 good years at Houston, and that was it.
Yeah.
You don't have a lot going for you. You've made a crap ton of money. Just go out and just enjoy your life, because clearly football is just not for you. And that's okay. But clearly it wouldn't be for him, especially if he does lose out this battle and he looks absolutely horrible, totally unprepared. Like that's the other side of this that we didn't really talk about. That is still also a possibility, and probably one that more people are rooting for, to be quite frank, because let's face it, he's not a very likable guy right here in Cleveland. He's costed the team a lot of money. He cost them a lot of picks, and it came out to be arguably one of the worst trades in NFL history, if not the worst. And there's been some pretty bad ones. This one is up there with some of the worst, and it's just unfortunate that the Browns weren't smart, like a team like the Broncos were, and got rid of Russ while they could, ate the cap, still found a way to get a good quarterback, and then built around him on a rookie deal. And now they just got Jalen Waddle this week. The Broncos are going to be a disgusting AFC team that is going to duke it out again this year, barring injury. Like, it's going to be a really hard time for teams going up against the Broncos, especially with Kansas City, they got Fields, but Pat being out, they're gonna be maybe 500, maybe without him, or
Yeah.
they're gonna try to tank and go get Jeremiah Smith. Like you just never really know what exactly they're gonna do there. So I don't know, man. There's a lot to say and a lot to pick apart when it comes to the way this NFL season could go.
Yeah, there really is. And, this season, especially for the Browns, is going to be really interesting just to see what they do and what happens because, again, it's a whole new regime change in the coaching staff. And, from what we knew from Kevin Stefanski when he left for Atlanta, and, him saying that there was a lot of decisions he had no control of, there was a lot of things that were out of his hands. So, for something like that to happen and to have been said by Kevin Stefanski is actually kind of crazy because, you know, it sucks to hear when a head coach says there's times where he's had no say in what goes down and no say in what happens and, with picks or, what to do with the quarterback situation because it's like, well, the organization wants me to do this. I wanted to do this. So I'm hoping with Todd Monken, it's a completely different story. They allow him to actually coach and be the coach and actually be like, listen, I don't give a damn about Deshaun Watson. Like, I don't want him starting. I don't want him near this field. I want to go with Shador day one.
Yeah.
And, the Andrew Berry and whoever can kiss my ass, like, this is my football team. You hired me to be the coach. Let me do my job.
Yeah.
JW, you're not going to tell me what to do. Barry, you're not going to tell me what to do. Haslam, you're not going to tell me what to do. None of you guys are going to tell me what to do. You guys gave me the role of coach. I'm going to coach. So if I don't want to play this guy, I'm not playing him. And I know Todd Monken is that kind of guy. He does not take from anybody. So Kevin Stefanski, yeah, he let the organization walk all over him. Todd Monken would punch somebody in the face before that even happens. And I'm sure he would not mind punching J.W. Johnson straight in the face either if J.W. came to tell him what to do. Like, do you know anything about football? That's what I thought. Sit down.
Right.
Like, you do something else. You play with your coloring book in the office. Let me handle the football stuff.
Yeah.
So, Todd, I'm sure when it comes down to it, Todd Monken is going to have free reign to do whatever he wants to do. He's going to have the say of what he wants to do because this is a regime change that was needed. We needed to make some kind of decision. And we have a coach who, again, is not going to take a lot from anybody, and he's going to do what he wants to do. And I think some of the players are going to like this change. I know defensively, some of the players were not happy about losing, one of the best defensive coordinators in the game. But, I mean, the guy we got in place,
he's
still
fiery.
not. Yeah, he's fiery. So, he's just as fiery as the last one. So I think the defense is going to be in good hands. I think the team is in good hands now.
Yeah.
Again, we have all of our guys who basically came from the Ravens organization. So it's going to be fun to watch, and we're going to see what happens.
Yeah, and you know what? What I didn't say earlier is they did add a couple of free agents.
Yeah,
a few being some DNs. They got a DN from the Bills that has been a pretty solid player. Not like super crazy, but apparently he's pretty underrated. So that'll be a fun guy to have for depth. Especially because that Alex Wright is going to be the guy that's going to be, on the other side of Garrett. But other than that, like just having more depth, that's pretty much what they're doing. They brought in a safety guy that plays on specs as well, and then they brought in a sort of punt returner receiver from the Ravens. So again, one more guy that Todd is totally familiar with and trusts, which is very important because for the last few seasons you've had Jerome Ford as your main returner, and he's been garbage as a returner. And every punt returner that you have really doesn't do anything as well. So it's fine. Like I am starting to like it. I can see what the Browns are trying to do. I really do. I can see what they are trying to do, and this draft could be really, really big if they hit on it. Like if they hit on this draft, they get a really good receiver, they lock up the left tackle, um, and they continue to just add more depth. I mean, in my opinion, you have to double dip with receiver this year. I think that's an absolute need because you don't really trust a lot of the guys there now.
Yeah.
Um, you definitely get another backup tight end, and then you just continue to just build more depth, whether it's on the line, whether it's on some defense. You have a lot of options, but the main hit points, at least in the first 3 or 4 picks, is offense, 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 offense all day long, unless you wind up with downs at pick 6. But the question that I want to kind of end with the Browns talk before we move into the Cavs is the question of, again, what they should do, like our main things that we think they should do in the first few picks of the draft versus what we think they will do, knowing how Andrew Berry drafts. Because we already have talked about, hey, we definitely prefer receiver as that first pick at 6.
Yeah.
Do we think that's what they should do? Based off of everything that we've heard about Freeling, he graded really, really well. But the issue is he's got some really short arms. And for linemen, that can be troublesome. That can be a factor that hurts you a lot. I mean, you look at a guy like Will Campbell, who struggled towards the end of this year because, again, he's got some shorter arms. He's not necessarily the biggest guy. And if you don't have fundamentally good feet, you're already at a major disadvantage in the pros. So, just knowing what we know, what do you think they should do with these first few picks versus what you think they will do?
So obviously, what I think they should do is they should obviously go for a receiver at 6, tackle at 24. Because again, those are the glaring holes and the glaring needs that this team has. We did a lot already this offseason in addressing offensive line all over the place. I think left tackle is basically the last thing that needs addressed. Wide receivers, again, they're guys like Jalen Waddle was there, but do you really want to take a first for Jalen Waddle with a quarterback who hasn't played again in over a year, or a young kid who went 7 TDs, 11 picks in his rookie season? Or do you get one in the draft who's young, can be a top tiered wide receiver? And then obviously you go get left tackle at 24. What I think they will do is I think Andrew Berry is known as a guy who likes to move down in the draft. And so he'll probably move that 6 pick down to maybe 8, 9, 10 or something. He might move down somewhere in there. And maybe instead of going for a Carnell Tate or someone like that, he might be thinking I could get a Jordan Tyson at 10 or 9 or something. I can get a different wide receiver. Maybe I like him more than Carnell Tate. Maybe there's a tackle he'd rather take with that slot as well. We don't know. Or again, Andrew Berry is not that bad at drafting defense. Obviously, there's that Bain kid from Miami who's really good.
Yeah.
Again, there's guys like Arvil Reese and other linebackers that are really good in this draft. So, again, they could be thinking we don't know the situation with JOK. We just lost Devin Bush.
Yeah.
So we might go like an Arvil Reese. We might go Sonny Styles or some kind of linebacker to kind of replace that and put with Schlesinger, because again, we don't know the situation with JOK, if he's going to be playing this season or if he's not going to be playing at this point. Is he just going to be done?
Yeah.
So there's a chance that he moves down. There's a chance he might pick defense at 6 and stay there. So ultimately, I know, obviously the last few years we saw him go down. So it's tough to tell with Andrew Berry because he's one of those guys like we talked about the last few years who tries to outsmart the room.
Yeah, tries to
And
be the smartest guy in the room.
Yeah, and then he ends up screwing himself in the end. Somehow, some way, our Harvard guy hasn't learned his lesson in doing that yet. You think he'd be smart enough to learn the lesson after the first couple times?
Exactly. You
But
would think that he would indeed be the smartest guy in the room with that freaking Harvard degree.
But yeah, what do you think they're going to do with that 624?
So what I think they should do is they should absolutely put their cards all on Tate.
Okay.
I think he's the best receiver. They need to triple down on getting him. And the only way that you don't is if he goes within the top 5.
Yeah.
And you can't move up, for him. And I think if that happens, I think that's when they will trade down. And ultimately, I think that is still like I would say 60-40 chance that they do move down. Now, if they do move down, I would rather them move down and either get another first round pick to get either 3 for this year or get another one for next year. One of the two. Try to sort of emulate what you did last year with that Jags trade. Because if you are going to move out of it, you need to maximize on getting the most that you can either out of this year or next. So if they have a chance to do that, that's what they should do. But I also think that, again, we know Barry. He's not afraid to move down. I just hope that he doesn't move down significantly. Like, I hope he doesn't go from like 6 to 15 or like outside of the 15, because that's when you're getting into some weird, waters. But that being said, again, I don't know if I said this on the last podcast episode. I think the fallout between the receivers and the tackles are very, very different. I think the receiving class is one of the best receiving classes that we've had in years. And I think the tackle class is also really, really, really solid. But I think a lot of these guys are about in the same window. So you really don't, I feel like you don't need to take one high in order to still take a good guy later on. Like I think you can find a guy falling, because we all know there's guys that fall in the draft every year for whatever reason. If it's a weird injury that popped up, if it's they sort of had a weird testing. Like, I mean, again, we saw with Shadur, he was a projected first round pick at one point, first overall pick, and he went into the 5th round. You just never know how the league is going to view, these guys. So I think you can get really lucky, and the Browns have gotten really lucky over the last few years over getting certain guys later on in rounds. You get a guy like Delpit where you did. You got JOK where you did. Schlesinger seems like a freaking steal with the way that we got him. And we still got Judkins as well last year. Like, you were able to get some really solid guys in where you had your picks. So I think if there's a move to be made to trade down, that's fine. Try not to move outside of that top, even 12. So if Dallas comes and calls and say they want a guy like Reese, or they want, Jeremiah Love or whatever, I don't know what their plan would be. But if they decided to move up and they wanted to give us 12, and then they want to give us one more of their first round picks in order to move up, let them. Because then you have 3 first round picks in the top 25, or at least the top, first round. That's beautiful. And then you can really do, again, what you did in 2016, where you got Miles and you got Chief, and then you got Jabril. And obviously Jabril didn't stick, but again, at that time, that was a good move, and that was a really good draft.
Pick, yeah.
And it was a good draft. And then you follow that up with getting Baker the following year. Plus, you got Ward as well, who is still here. I mean, you have a chance to really bang out some really good drafts over the next few seasons. And so try to maximize as much as you can, either for this year or try to get as much as you can for next year, to where you can really, really load up. But you cannot come out of this draft without drafting one of the top 5 receivers and or tackles. Plain and simple. And I think receiver is a little bit higher up on the list because of the way that we've kind of retooled the line this year. I think you can work a little more around that in the draft than the lack of movement in the receiver room. Because you don't trust Jerry, obviously, to be a first receiver. Tillman has shown flashes, but he cannot, for the life of him, stay healthy. You don't know what some of the younger guys are going to do. And you know what Fannin can do, but he's not a receiver. He's a tight end. Yep. So you can't really use him as a receiver all of the time. You can't have your best receiver be a tight end. I'm sorry. Like, no team that does that ends up being really, really good in the long run. So I really do think the Browns need to emphasize one of these top 5 receivers and getting the best guy that they think that they can get. They've kind of shown that in their top 30 visits. Like, I think they've brought in 3 or 4 of the receivers.
Yeah.
One of their first guys that they brought in was Tate. I think they've also brought in Tyson. They brought in Chris Bell yesterday out of Louisville, which before his injury, he was a top pick guy in the mix as well. And then, obviously Mackay. There's some really good receivers in this draft. So you cannot come out of this draft where you are placed right now and miss out on one of those guys. You just can't. So even if you overdraft for that guy, as long as it's your guy and you are dead set on it, I'm fine with it. Like, I'm fine if you overpay a little bit to get a Jordan Tyson, if that's the guy you really do think is going to be the difference maker, or Lemon, Tate, whoever it is. I don't care. Just make it happen and be confident in your pick, because as long as you get your guy, it doesn't matter. It truly, truly doesn't.
No, not at all. And that's the big key in this is get your guy. And I think there's going to be a lot of talks in that draft room and the war room or whatever. Like, hey, listen, let's actually listen to the football guys and get this draft right, and be like, okay, we're gonna go at 6. We're gonna get a Carnell Tate. We're gonna get a Jordan Tyson. We're gonna get a top tiered wide receiver. And then with that 24 pick, we're going to get a top-tiered left tackle, because I think at this point, you need to draft your needs.
Yeah.
This is a draft where you draft your needs. You ignored that the last few years. I think this is a draft where you draft your needs. You draft your tackle, you draft your wide receiver. Those are the first 2 things you should do. Shore those things up. Obviously, there's other left tackles you could probably get in free agency just to, have some depth. But yeah, you need to shore up those positions, because those are glaring needs. The rest of the team, I think you've done well this offseason with offensive line. I think the Browns have done very well, and just revamping this O-line. I think they've done well getting guys that they've needed to get. And I think their main focus this offseason was O-line.
Yeah.
They got a couple guards. They got a right tackle. They got a couple center guys who can play guard and center. So they shored up those offensive lines. The only one they couldn't really do that was hard is left tackle. And that's where you go to the draft. You do that. And guess what? Offensive line, golden. And then what do you do now? You shore up wide receiver room. Get a top-tiered wide receiver with that 6th pick. Get someone who could challenge Jerry Jeudy. And guess what? Jerry Jeudy might be playing a lot better as a number 2. Even if the number 1 isn't, like, even if like you got Carnell Tate and he didn't have a 1,000-yard season, but like Jerry Jeudy played a lot better. That right there is like, okay, these are 2 guys like who can go for 1,000 yards the next year. And Jerry Jeudy is the guy who's gotten 1,000 yards with the Browns. I think it was the first ever 1,000-yard season in his career. So he has the capabilities. You just got to teach him how to catch the football and hold on to the football. That's his only issue. Yeah.
That's all up here. He has to fix this before anything else.
Yeah. And if he does, guess what? He could be a true number 1 wide receiver. And so I think a guy like Tate or Tyson could challenge him for that. And that competition might force him to play better because he could be like, oh my God, if I don't play well, this kid's going to take my job and I'm out of a job and I'm going to get traded or something. And I'm going to be stuck in a terrible team as a wide receiver 3 or something. And, my career is going to derail.
Yeah.
So, this could really elevate him quite a bit. So I think for the Browns, it's just go after those needs. And that's how the draft should go. Just get your needs. Stop trying to be smart. Just get the
Yeah.
needs.
Quit being scared to make a huge move.
Don't be scared to make
quit being
a move.
scared to go get one of the best guys in the draft.
Yeah.
I get from last year because there were a few sort of like prima donnas. You had, Hunter, you had Shadur, you had all those guys, Cam Ward. Like there were guys that you were really unsure about. This draft is one of those drafts where the kind of players you were getting, and you have the chance to get multiple of them. And even in round 2, there's still some good receivers that you definitely would like to double up on, and that's why I would like to see them do that, because it would just make the most sense. Like load up on all of the offensive talent that you can bring, because that alone will help any young quarterback. Give him weapons, give him a chance to even if he has to make a crazy throw, he has a guy that he can catch the freaking ball. Like it would be beautiful for the Browns to be able to make some serious noise with that. And I think that's where they need to start. So we'll see if they buy into that or not. I doubt it. But I do want to quickly get into some Cavs before we end, because we are already at 41 minutes and I don't want to go too much further. But
yeah,
the Cavs obviously take on the Bulls tonight. They're without Donovan as he gets to rest after a weird eye injury that he sustained in practice. I think Mobley may have either elbowed him on accident or probably got a hand to the face and something happened. But it was pretty red the other night, and he definitely struggled because of it. He did not have a good night shooting the ball. He wasn't really aggressive. You could definitely tell he was thinking about it. So I'm fine with him having the night off. They're playing the Bulls. The Bulls should not be that big of a game for them to play against. I don't know the score. I have not been watching it.
I have it right here, and the Cavs were up 12 in the second quarter. Started the second quarter.
Yeah, so I think everything's going to be fine. And obviously, their current starting 5 that they have tonight, it's actually been one of the more positive net groups that the Cavs have had during this stretch of games since they've gotten Harden. So everything should be fine. I mean, I'm not worried at all. I think Harden will have a decent night tonight of like a 20 or 25 point game. But
he's already at 16 in 12
minutes.
Is he?
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
So he's going crazy.
I literally have in my notes a 25 plus game from him tonight. I can see Tyson playing well, and I still think Mobley could end up being the high man at the end of it. But with Harden starting out with 16 right now, that might not be the case. Harden might go for 40 if he's on that pace, which would be sick. I would love to see Harden have a 40-point game with us for once. Like that, yeah, that would be super, super cool. But the Cavs have still, had some ups and downs. They really struggled against the Bucks, and I think a lot of it has to do with the way that they're switching off on defense. They're kind of like overcommitting, which they've done a lot over the last few years. It's a thing that I hope Kenny helps them get out of by playoff time. Oh, hi, Lola. How are you? She gets to join the podcast here. I have some stuff back there, so I don't want to get all my laundry in the back. But they've struggled a little bit, but overall the offense is still doing its thing. Mobley, as we said, has been playing some really, really good ball, probably some of his best ball that he's played so far this year. The shot's starting to fall a little bit. He just seems a little more confident. Doesn't seem like he's really dealing with anything injury-wise, which is good. Let's hope that is, definitely still good. But, guys are still playing well. You're still getting Strus back in the mix, so you're going to see sort of a difference in the way the lineups are going to fall. You're not seeing Tyson as much, even though he started tonight because Strus is still on a minute restriction. You're not seeing him play those 25 plus or even 30-minute games. You don't have Porter out, out there. He's got some sort of groin injury I think he's dealing with. And Allen is still out for the next week or two. He's got some sort of tendonitis that he's dealing with in his knee, which I think they're just being a little precautious about. So probably won't see him for, I would say, another week or two. But, I mean, Mobley has been handling the five very well. He's been basically a walking double-double and doing what Jared Allen was doing, except he can shoot the ball a little bit better than Jared Allen. I mean, he had 27 and 15 against the Bucks. That's a really good stat line. That's a stat line you want Evan to have almost on a nightly basis. That should almost be his standard at this point. But with him having to share the rock with Donovan and Harden, it is harder to do. But I really like the fact that Mobley has continued to become a focal point in the offense. I've been saying this since last year. It's very imperative that the Cavs' success flows through Mobley. And that should not end just because you have James Harden and Donovan or even Strus and Allen all in the mix to get touches. Mobley needs to be the focal point, hands down.
Yeah, Mobley should be the focal point, hands down, right now. And as of right now, I think he's on 6 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists in 10 minutes. The one guy I want to mention that doesn't seem to get a lot of love right now is Keon Ellis.
Dude, he's been playing some good ball too.
He's been playing amazing ball because right now in 7 minutes, he's got 2 points, 1 offensive rebound, 1 assist, 1 block, and 1 steal in 7 minutes. Already insanely effective. And he's the highest plus minus guy at plus 14.
Yeah, that's good ball.
This dude is just. It reminds me so much of like Matthew Dellavedova a little bit, where he's just all over the place, and it doesn't seem like anything just tires him out at all. Like he's just a workhorse, and that's what this team needed, was just a workhorse all over the court. And he's been making shots too. Like he's been
hitting his corner threes. Like he's doing what he needs to do.
Yeah, so I think Keon Ellis deserves a lot of love for what he's been doing as of late, because he just has not been getting that love. But no, I mean. A game like tonight where the Cavs are already at 16 as of right now. So the Cavs are absolutely balling. Like I said, James Harden in 12 minutes has 16 points already. And while you were talking before the end of the first quarter, he hit a 3, got fouled, and there was like a second left on the clock. So I was like, this is going to be one of those James Harden games.
Yeah.
Where he just drains everything and gets a foul for it.
And meanwhile, Dean Wade is 0 points, 0 for 1, and 1 rebound.
Yeah,
his plus minus is 0.
Yeah,
but besides that, everybody else is plus on the Cavs right now.
Yeah, Dean Wade just needs to stay off the floor at this point because he's just ineffective.
He's going to be on the floor though because of his defense, unfortunately.
Well, I think once comes playoff time, and I think you have to reduce the lineups. I think once that happens, I think you're going to see him have like very restrictive minutes, especially now that Strus is back.
Yeah.
So I think for the Cavs now, with Jared Allen being out, with Donovan Mitchell being out, I think the Cavs are more focused on being extra careful with the injured guys, because again, with something like tendonitis in the knee, they're going to be super precautious with Jared Allen because they want him for the playoffs, especially with how well he's been playing as of late. Donovan Mitchell, I think they're just kind of keep him on and off the floor because you want him to stay healthy for the playoffs.
Yeah.
But again, guys like Thomas Bryant, Keon Ellis, these guys have been massive contributors off the bench, and these are going to be. And people don't know this, but these are going to be key guys in the playoffs. You're going to see Thomas Bryant just get physical and drop buckets. I mean, he's already made, I think, 2 threes already. And one. Okay.
He's 2 of 3, but yeah, he's got 5
points. Okay. I thought the second bucket was also a 3. But you have Keon Ellis, who in 7 minutes has an offensive rebound, a steal, and a block, which is absurd in 7 minutes. So right now, I think the Cavs are not really too worried. I think they're just more worried about getting Strus back into the swing of things and just playing good basketball at the end of the day. keep getting familiarized with James Harden, and just playing good ball. And the Cavs, I think the Cavs are going to be just fine, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree. I don't see them being able to slow down. And we've said this before too, but their strength of schedule towards the end of the year is like literally one of the easiest. So as we've been saying since December, as long as you can stay in that top 4, that's really all you need. Like the top 4 is fine. And it really, I don't even care if Detroit loses out on the first seed and it ends up being, Boston. I'm fine with that. I don't really care. Like with the news of Cade going down with a collapsed lung. Who knows how long he's going to be out for? That could affect them a little bit. I don't know. Things could be really, really weird. But the one thing that I will say is Boston is clearly the best team in the East right now, and that includes over Detroit. I think Detroit is a little overhyped, and once it comes down to play, the playoff time, Detroit's going to show their colors.
Yeah.
But Boston is the only team that I really see us being able to struggle against. And if the Cavs can just come in healthy and just give it their all, they definitely have a chance. But yeah, man, the Cavs don't really seem to be slowing down, even with some of the injuries that they've had. The team has been able to still find wins. They've had some bad losses. They lost to the Mavs this weekend in Struce's first game back, which he had a really good first game. He had 26 points, 6 of 7 from 3, and they still lost because they just came out flat, and the Mavs just took advantage of it. But the game before that, they beat the Mavs by 30. So it was like, does it really matter? Like the Cavs are kind of just in this mode where they're just like, hey, man, let's just get through this season. Let's stay in the top 4, and then let's really put the gas down to the floor when it comes to playoff time. And I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that mentality. That's the LeBron James team sort of mentality was get in the playoffs and then worry about putting your foot to the floor. That because these games just don't really matter unless you're specifically going for seeding. And we saw last year, it doesn't matter if you have a first seed, you can get knocked out very quickly, because if a team comes into the playoffs hot, they're going to play hot. And that goes with every sport, baseball especially. If you are the hottest team in the league, you will go on a massive run. That's why at the time the Indians went on that crazy streak in 2016 where they were one game away. It's because they were the hottest team in baseball leading into the playoffs, and they made a huge run. It happens in every sport. So the Cavs just need to get hot at the right time, and let's see if they time it up that way. But if not, at least build good habits, get a little bit better on defense, and let it freaking ride, baby. I'm just ready for playoff time. I'm tired of the season because it's just been long. It's been like off and on, like good and then annoying and then good, and then okay, now we're back to just that middle ground. I think the Cavs are just ready to get back into playoff time, honestly. I think that's really where their head's at.
Absolutely.
But yeah, man, that is pretty much gonna do it for me. I don't really have anything else to touch on. I know we're at 53 minutes, so this is going to be a little bit longer of a episode. So I'm so sorry to the peeps. But hey, shout out to you guys who have been watching.
Yeah.
The views continue to go up, so we just really appreciate it. And as always, we will see y'all next week with some more Cavs, some more Browns, whatever,
and Guardians now.
And Guardians, that's right. We will have a full Guardians
next Thursday.
Next Thursday.
Next Thursday is the start of the season.
Yep. So we will have that in the next episode as well. So thank you for reminding me, Drew.
Yeah.
You always got to keep me
10 game in Seattle, baby. So we'll be just after the podcast finishes.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna stay up for that game.
I will, because I got nothing better to do.
Yeah, I do because I got to get up at 6:30 in the morning, unfortunately. But yeah, so we will have some Guardians news next week, so that will be fun as well. So until then, keep it locked. We'll see you next time.